in Birmingham, going zip code by zip code, understanding the buy box by different areas right here. So today we're in 35206. All right, let's do it. So I found this property, 7112 2nd Ave, Birmingham, Alabama, 35206. Let's check. For the most part, I'm just starting out with relatively turnkey properties, and one, getting the ARVs, and then two, also getting the it's pretty solid kitchen for the most part. Just getting a general understanding of like what the buy box is, what rents are going for by zip code. It's a pretty nice house. It's a 3-2. All right, 1187 square feet. So it doesn't look like I need to do much here. Maybe I would just put in a little bit of appliances, but that's pretty much all I'm going to do here. All right, so next thing I want to do is do a quick street view. Let's see. It's a big open field. I don't really. It's going to be a market where you just got to go street by street and figure out. I don't like this house. Look at this house. This house is like freaking missing a whole roof up here. Okay. Something to pay attention to in this area. Okay. Let me see if I get the crime score. I go here. In Birmingham. There we go. I use tophap.com, tophap.com. And from that point onwards, I just try to get a quick crime score. If you wait for it to load, it should, while it's loading, I don't know why it's so slow today. We're going to go to HUD FMR. So if you want to Google the rent ceiling, the first thing to do is click on Google HUD FMR, click on the first link, and then go to click access to small area FMRs. And from that point onwards, you can look up FY 2024. This should be in Jefferson County again, 35206. 35206. Okay, so now I got the rent ceiling for a 3-bedroom at $1,530, and a rent ceiling for a 4-bed is $1,700. $1,530, $1,700. $1,530, $1,700. I usually get the rents for the additional bedroom simply because if there is a creative way to increase the rents on this property, then I might look into adding an extra bedroom. Okay. Now that I got that piece, let's see, did that load yet? It's so weird. It hasn't loaded it. Usually it's never that slow. Let's see if that loads again. All right. So while that's loading, I'm going to get the market rents. And I get the market rents by simply going to affordablehousing.com, going to the owner section, go to the market rent estimator, and then plugging in the bedroom count, and you're going to see this number right here. The number you want to pay attention to is this number on the far bottom right, where it says that within a 0.52 mile radius for 25 units, the average rent here is $1,026. And if you think about it, that's a really big difference. 0.52. 5 right there, 1495, 1099, 965. So you can see that the rents here, usually in the zip code, is a little bit lower, but then within a half-mile radius, only $1,000, and that's well below your rent ceiling, well below. So I might just put like $1,050 for rents here for a 3-bedroom here, just because that's what the comps is showing. Let's see, what do we see for 4 bedrooms? Okay, good to know that it's a lot higher at $1,350. That's a pretty big difference, right? That's almost a $300 difference. That's the difference between making a lot of money and no money on one unit, 1304 and 1888. All right, so from that point onwards, let's go ahead and plug in some numbers. Okay, maybe Top App's not working today, but that's all right. We can always come back to that. Okay, $130,000 is what it's been listed for. Renovations, like we talked about earlier, I'm going to assume I'm only going to replace 2 of the toilets. I'm going to buy some appliances. So I'm going to put in a refrigerator, a range, Don't really want to provide that many stuff, but I'll put a microwave in there for now. Don't need to paint the place because I'm assuming it's in pretty good shape. I got $500 for some landscaping to keep it clean while we're getting it rented out, and then $1,500 for the roof, just in case there's anything in the pictures that we cannot see, or any repairs that we cannot see from the photos. That leaves us with about a $6,700 renovation, mostly because of all the appliances. Okay. All right. So for this property, let's get the property tax number. I'm just going to go down here. Property tax 88,101 for insurance. All right. 88 for taxes. And I got 101. I'm going to add a 20% premium to that just to be a little bit more conservative, because usually those insurance premiums here are intended for primary residence properties. And I'm just going to put a little bit extra premium because usually investment properties, insurance premiums are generally higher. Got 10% for maintenance. So I'm sending out $100 every single month for maintenance or repairs, 10% for my property management, and then another 5% for the vacancy. Okay, now if I do this as a 25% down payment on this property at roughly a 8.25, which is what I've been hearing, 8.25% interest rate, that's going to result in a negative $154 of cash flow per month with 2.5% closing costs. Yep, everything looks pretty good. So I'm going to write these numbers in. So as a 3-bed, if I only get $1,050 for rents, I would be cash flowing negative 154, and my cash on cash return would be negative 4.4. That's assuming the purchase price was $130,000 with a $6,800 rehab. Okay. All right. So knowing that that doesn't work, assuming everything else stays constant, what would I need to buy the property for in order to cash flow, let's say 10%? Let's lower this purchase price and notice what happens to this cash and cash return number as I lower the purchase price. Now it's at 5.32%, 90,000. Oops, sorry, I should be going the other way. 70,000. Boom, 68, 65. Okay, so $65,000 it would be a deal if it stays as a 3-bedroom at $1,050. Okay. Now, what if you met another investor and they say, hey, you can actually get closer to $1,150 because your property is so renovated, right? You're just messing around on numbers and figuring out like what will make it work. Well, if the rent was $1,150, look what you can pay for the property now. 70, 75. Right? See how big of a jump that was? You went from $65,000 to $75,000, as if you can get just an extra $100 of rent every single month. And the whole point of this exercise is for you to figure out, one, what your investment criteria is. So I'm saying at least 10%, right? But this is not investment advice, and I'm not soliciting any investments, to be clear. I'm just simply showing you the work on how you would go through this mental exercise of determining what does a deal even look like if it was a deal. So if you got $1,050 for rent, what do you need to purchase it for? $65,000. It's being listed for $130,000. Are you going to get it for that price? Probably not. If you got it for $1,150 for rents, $100 higher than before, now all of a sudden you want to pay $10,000 more for the property, assuming everything else holds constant. Okay. Now I'm going to go back to $1,050 because that's a more conservative rent amount. And let's see if there's a creative finance option. So if I go to PropStream, I plugged in the address right here, and it looks like this property came up. And if you click on details, if there is an underlying loan in place, oh, there is. I would have thought they would have owned it free and clear. Commercial lender. Okay, so this property has a loan, underlying loan for $92,000. Okay, let's plug this one in. So now we're pursuing a subject to deal, right? This is a scenario where you're taking over the existing loan subject to the existing financing. 585, yeah, that's about right. And this property started in 7/11/23. 7/11/23. Okay. Now, 92 grand. This was 130,000. What does that equal? 124. So you would probably need to increase your down payment by another 5,500 plus 5,500. So now there is no other loan balance because you're giving away, you're buying out the seller. They're just gonna say, hey, I will cash you out by giving you 38 grand as long as you let me take over your underlying loan sub 2, which is at a 6.57% interest rate, which is a more advantageous interest rate, but you're giving a higher down payment. Is that a deal? No, because this interest rate is still 6.57. Okay, interesting. So that's not a deal. How would I make it a deal? Well, if the seller, hey, I can give the seller 130 grand if they're willing to finance a certain portion of it, so my cash out of pocket can be a little bit higher. Okay. Now, what if I turn this into, what I took half of that, 19,000. Hold on, let me decrease this by 19,000. So it's going to take down another 13,500. So 19 grand here, 19 grand here, that's 38. And I'm still negative because I'm increasing my monthly balance, even though my cash and cash out of pocket is lower. So to me, there isn't really a creative finance deal here that would make it work, unfortunately. And that's okay. Sometimes not every single deal can be a deal. And usually what we've been doing on the past couple of days is usually we see that these properties, because of its purchase price, is owned free and clear because there's not that many lenders that will lend out on a deal at $100,000 or less. So in order for that to happen, you got to find a very unique lender. And I don't know who is the lender here. So this is not a deal, unfortunately, unless you can get it for 65 grand, which is unlikely because then they would be underwater, right? Because they took a loan out under 92. So that's how I determined that this deal is probably not worth my time because of all the scenarios that we went through. And all those scenarios that we went through, the seller has to be taking a offer that's below their listing price, and not only below the listing price, but also below what they owe on the property. We just saw in PropStream that they owe $92,000. So if you were to give a property for an offer for 65 grand so you can make 10% cash on cash, assuming your rent was $1,050, they would have to come out of their own pocket to pay off that loan just to sell it to you. And most sellers would never go for that. So that's why I'm saying it's not worth your time. So have an amazing day, everybody. I'll be back here again tomorrow for day 198. And hopefully you guys all are able to learn a little bit and you guys are able to copy my homework for tomorrow. Have an amazing day, everybody. Hey, you're very welcome. I appreciate you tuning in for the live. All right. Next this up.